Hello and welcome once again to the StrangePlay Podcast, focused on gaming standards. I'm Rik.
I'm Simon.
And as I've already said, botching up that intro, this is about gaming standards. Basically, on this episode, we want to talk about things that we believe should be included in all games as standard. Some of them may seem obvious, more obvious than others, and some of them may be a little bit wishful thinking, I suppose we could say. Now, Simon did a fucking great job of creating this list of things, so because he's the one who put all the work in, I think that he should get it started. So get on with it, man. You know, you've done some great work in this one, and I want to hear what you've got to say.
Right, okay, we're going to start with the most obvious ones. Maybe not to us as able-sighted people, but Colorblind Mods, right? I played with colorblind people, and it is a pain in the ass. Like, I'm shooting teammates, looking at loot, and, not being able to, differentiate between what's good and what's bad. Stuff like that. We've got, like, different loot rarities. Fucking hell, I mangled that up. Teammates have, like, triangles over the head in games like Battlefield that you can change, incidentally, but I've witnessed people, like, shooting teammates or, not realising that there's enemies, like, right next to them. So, I think that Colorblind Mods should be a standard. Like, no ifs, no buts. I don't care if your game costs fucking 10 pence to put together, or it cost, like, a AAA Joe run into the fucking tens of millions. It's got to have colorblind modes in it.
Okay, so I've never actually experienced a colorblind mode. I've never sat down and played with one. So what, from your experience of playing with people who are actually using colorblind modes yourself, like, what kind of things do they do to the game to make it easier?
Right, so the types of colour blindness, there's trichromacy, which is a normal colour vision, uses all three types of colour cones correctly, and is known as trichromacy. People with normal colour vision are known as trichromacy. So that's me and you. We've got perfect vision. There's anonymous trichromacy, and that's like faulty vision. Like the cones that are in your eye perceive light colours, but one cone is like slightly out of line.
Okay.
So you might see, like, reds, might be fucked up, or greens might be fucked up. So
it's a cone being out of alignment. Sorry, that makes you perceive colours a little bit differently.
Okay. Due to anomaly, which is like, I can't remember which way around it is. I think it's blue and green they can see, but everything else, like reds are like screwed up. And there's basically there's a whole host of these like different like colour blindnesses.
Yes.
And you look at games like Destiny that have colourblind modes in, and it's like, yeah, that's perfect. I can move them options about, and I can see differences, and I can see when I'm playing with people that are colourblind. I played Destiny 1 with someone that were colourblind, and he had that on, and he could tell perfectly. He had no trouble. Before they put the colourblind mode in, he did have trouble. I think he couldn't tell the difference between blues and purples.
Right.
Which, one you want to get rid of and one you want to keep. But, yeah, we had an hard time because he'd stop and he'd open his menu and it just, stop starts. Having these modes in that just allow for these individuals that have colourblindness to play the game as it should be.
Yeah.
It's just inclusive. That's what it is. It's an inclusive thing. I think gaming needs to be more inclusive to people that aren't able. It goes without saying that I think 1 in 10 men are colourblind.
Do you think it would work then if instead of using one team blue, one team red, stuff like that, stuff that confuses or that can't be perceived by people with certain colour blindness? Do you think it would just be easier to just have a colourblind friendly colour scheme
in the first place?
Yeah, as default.
Yeah, I agree, but there's sometimes a lot of people when they were playing Battlefield 4 used to play with the colourblind mode on.
Yeah.
And personally, I couldn't do it because it were I think it were purple. It changed everything purple, and it looked really garish. So what's pleasing to us, aesthetically pleasing, and we can differentiate between, is kind of jarring. So
okay,
do you know what I mean? And I don't think it's much work for the 3 main ones.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Full subtitles. People might be hard of hearing. They might just be playing with the game sound down. There might be... There's loads of reasons to use subtitles. It's not just for people, Joe, that are hard of hearing. I think there's no excuse. It's a time that all games shipped with full subtitles.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of those things like that you think would be standard for everything, but I've played so many games with like bad subtitles, like, and they're just like, what the fuck are they doing here with these subtitles? Like, I often play late at night. I've got to have sound down, just so I'm not waking people up or Joe being like inconsiderate to my neighbours.
Yeah.
And it's like, the game's subtitles aren't linking up with what's actually being said on the screen.
That really annoys me.
There's a lot of disjarring thing, like the sound effects will be going over, what's being said, and it's trying to play everything at the same time. It's just like, I wish that a lot of games would just go, okay, well, this particular game is doing subtitles really well. We'll use them as a template, for our next product, because it's inexcusable, really. Films do it fine, Everything. There's a lot of things that do subtitles great, but games seem to falter on it sometimes,
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of the time that issues with subtitles, especially in sort of like Japanese games, tends to be like localization issues, where something has been badly translated, and then you'll have the characters on screen saying one thing, and then the subtitles, it's only a couple of words difference, but it's enough to sort of pull you out, because that isn't what the character just said. I think in regards to subtitles, though, something that's important, and this has kind of been an issue for some subtitles, the size of them.
Yeah, I was just going to move on to that.
Because, do you remember when, was it Dead Rising came out?
Dead Rising on standard def TVs.
Yeah. I played Dead Rising on a standard def TV, and I had no idea what was happening.
This is an interesting tidbit about one of my friends. I lent him Dead Rising. He had a 360 and a 14-inch portable TV. He got 1,000 Gs on it.
Yeah.
He got 1,000 Gs on it, and he didn't know what he was doing. He basically looked at the internet, work stuff out from what they were saying. I ain't got a clue what was happening in game. But yeah, just make them big. Make them, the font size, adjustable as well.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Come on, guys. It's fucking 2017.
That leads into your next choice as well, which is control over cutscenes, which I agree with again completely, including skipping, rewinding, pausing, etc. That, to me, is something that is so annoying. I can't remember what I was playing recently, but there's been a couple of games where I've been sort of struggling on a boss or something.
Right.
And if you've got like a 2 or 3 minute unskippable cutscene,
fucking hell, it drives you mad, doesn't it?
I just stopped playing it. Yeah, there's one that was playing recently. I was trying to do the last boss, and it's only 30 seconds, but when you've died 9 times, that 30 seconds adds up, and you're like, just let me get on with it. I know I've seen this before. Let me get on with it. I don't care that the bad guy's got to do the thing again. Like, even if it's unskippable the first time, when you die, let it be skippable.
Yeah.
You don't need to see it again.
I can't remember which game it was. It was one that were about Vikings, and every time you died, it played like a scene, where you died, and it were really long. And if you were dying over and over, it was sort of like rubbing salt into wounds. It was like, bang, you're dead. Okay, go back.
Yeah.
It was so fucking frustrating.
Like, unskippable death scenes as well.
Yeah.
So fucking annoying.
There was one game, I think it was Titanfall 2 recently, that allowed you to skip backwards and forwards and stuff. That's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
There's some games that I played recently that you can sort of press once, so you're not accidentally skipping something. So that does my head in as well. Like, it's just like you think, oh, I'll just press X to see if I can pause it, and then it just skips it. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like, I wanted to watch that. So
something that pisses me off as well. I was playing Final Fantasy 12, and I didn't realise that I could pause the cutscenes.
Right.
And you know how some games, if you're playing on PS4 or Xbox One, if you press the home button, and you go back to your dash, it will pause it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12 didn't do that.
So it just played the cutscenes like in between.
Yeah, so I went, oh shit, I need a piss. Pressed the home button, ran off, came back, and halfway through another cutscene, I had to start the fucking game again.
See, this is the second part to this cutscene tirade. Have a theatre that once you've seen a cutscene, there's a menu drawing the front end where you can just go, or just even while you're playing, you can just go back and watch something. Because sometimes there's really, really cool parts to games. Do you know, the cutscenes are really, really cool. And you don't want to play like 10, 20 minutes a level just to see them. Like, it's just nice to watch the cutscenes back to back, you know?
Metal Gear Solid 2 had an amazing theatre mode. Because everything in Metal Gear is all done with in-game models, in the theatre mode, you could swap the models out.
Cool.
But they even had background characters. So one of my favourites was... Did you play Metal Gear 2?
I did.
Oh. You know the bit where they're in Arsenal and they're in the room with all the Metal Gear Rays?
Yes.
And Solidus just fucking shoots them and just takes them all out. And because it just, yeah. I did that with a fat grandma. Just put the fat granny in it, and she's just doing backflips and shit, and just taking out these rays. Absolutely amazing. Like, you could, every character was completely switchable.
Oh god. Yeah, but stuff like that should be, well, maybe not stuff exactly like that, but allowing you to, you know, go back and watch stuff and play about. Maybe even like have a free camera, you know, for certain parts.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about Final Fantasy 14. You can go to an inn and just watch any cutscenes that you've experienced in the game, which is really useful because some pickup groups want you to skip the cutscenes when you're going into a dungeon. So if you're trying to do your story mode, you end up missing shit or get kicked out of the group. So they've put the option in it to actually go back and watch cutscenes at your leisure, which is really nice.
Right. From this whole cutscene thing, so you can go back and remember, there is another feature that I think should be based in games, especially RPGs or anything like that, where anything you've done previously, when you load the game up again, it just gives you a quick recap. Do you know when you're watching, like, I don't know,
a load screen?
No, I mean like a TV show, and it goes previously on 24 or whatever, and it gives you like a 30-second recap. And it's like, that'd be perfect. Just a bit of a link, do you know, from what you did last time, and it'll give you a heads up, bit of flavour, Joe, to get you back in. Make it skippable, make it so you can turn it off if you want, but just have it there because, like, I remember playing the Pokemon games, you know, when they remade Leaf Green and Fire Red, and it'd be like weeks between me play sessions on those, and those little, oh, you went here, you beat this gym, and you did that. Well, the perfect recaps, that's all it needs to be. It just needs to be a tiny, tiny recap to give you your footing, and it's like, okay, I don't need to fucking, you know, like, go walking about and talking to people, you know, to realise where I need to be. Yeah,
like in some RPGs, they do have something like that, but it's optional, and you've got to dig for it. Like in some games that have a journal, and it'd be like, I did this, this, and this, and you're like, all right, brilliant. But no, I completely agree. If more games had that, even just as you're loading up your save,
press X for recap.
I was playing something recently, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but it was an RPG, and it did that.
Right.
And it was fucking awesome, because I knew that I could go away for a bit, come back, and then while I'm loading up my save game, it's like, this, and this happened, and now they're going here, and I'm like, brilliant, I know where I need to go.
I understand that Battlefield Hardline did that, but it did it in between levels while you were playing instead of just, you know, when you booted the game up, which got a bit intrusive. I haven't played it myself, so I can't comment. I just know that it did the all recap thing. On to the next thing. Control remapping with standard layouts from the most commonly used layouts. Right. So, when I say to you, here's a controller, you are playing a first-person shooter, what does L2 do? What does R2 do? What does L1 do? What does R1 do? What happens if you click the left stick in? What happens if you click the right stick in? Yeah. Tell me, like, what happens if you click the right stick in? What do you expect to happen?
Well, you're going to crouch or you're going to hit something.
See, for me, it's crouching. It's always been crouching. But some people, if they've come from Call of Duty background, it's going to be hit.
Hit, yeah.
It's going to be knife, and circle's going to be crouch.
Yeah.
I've always gone from the school that the shoulder buttons are for like melees and grenades, aiming down sights and shooting. Left click, sprint, right click, crouch. I always think about this is in first person shooter games, you're always crouching more than you're gonna melee.
Yeah.
You know? You're using it more often, so therefore it should be under your thumbs.
Yeah, it's like the three main controller types, or like the three games that really dominate that and kind of set the standard, is Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield.
Yeah.
But Halo 5... No, it was Halo 4. Sorry, Halo 4 actually had customizable controls in it for the first time that allowed you to use Call of Duty controls or Battlefield controls, and it was a fucking game changer.
I think it was Halo Reach that had the shoulder button melee.
Yeah, the bumper button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that we're all different. We all have us different preferences, and some of us may have problems. You're like reaching across. Like I play with several old people, and maybe their hands aren't as good. They can't, move across to circle or left on the D-pad to do stuff.
Yeah.
So just giving them a chance to customise and be comfortable and do all the things that they can do, they need to do, is just... It should just be a standard. There's no ifs or buts about it. Just give us the biggest standard layouts and let us tune them as well.
Like, I do think that's happening more and more now because, like what I said earlier, with like the three main games being, Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield, their control schemes were kind of their signature, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When you're playing Halo, you knew the Halo controls. When you're playing Call of Duty, you're playing Call of Duty controls. But gaming and multiplayer gaming and stuff has expanded so much over the last few years that it doesn't feel like, to me anyway, looking at gaming news and stuff now, it doesn't feel to me that those games are in competition with each other anymore.
No.
They're just doing their thing.
They're doing the same thing but in like different universes.
Yeah, so I think now that everyone's feeling a bit more comfortable where they're like, well, X million amount of people play Call of Duty, which is considerably more people than play Halo. Why force people to learn a new control scheme if they're going to play a game? But if we give them the ability to change a control scheme to their favourite game, then they'll be happier picking up our game because they'll know how to play the thing. And I think that kind of attitude's coming across more and more now as people are, realising that a bad control scheme can really break a good game.
Yeah. It's like, we've all done it before. We've been playing one game and we've gone to another game and say, like going from Call of Duty 4 to Halo, going to try and stab someone and fucking zoom in your gun sight in, it's like, oh shit, like that were wrong. Invert available for both axes, right?
Yes.
Oh my god, this is... I don't care if you play standard or you play inverted or neither thing. I'm not gonna say that you're fucking a devil worshipper if you do use invert or normal, even though you clearly are. But don't force people into playing invert on any way. Like I was playing Elite Dangerous early this year.
Yeah.
And that had invert controls, and I was playing with some people and they're like, oh my god, I can't do this. You're like pulling back, puts the nose up and what have you. Like they just couldn't get their head around it. And it was like, well, it's second nature to me. But if you put me in a first person shooter and say, okay, pulling back on the stick makes you look up, I'd be fucked. In fact, I was playing Wolfenstein, and there's a submarine section in it. And the submarine section isn't inverted. And it took me fucking ages to get through it because I had to sort of like rotate myself, point myself where I need to be going, go straight forward, and then get to a wall and like reorientate myself. It was just awful.
Yeah.
And I tried to go through the menus and see if there were an option to invert just the vehicle. None of that. So there were Beyond Good and Evil were another game that had like invert as standard. Like there were no invert options, so you had to play with invert, and it caused more fucking trouble for me.
Yeah, I think the first Kingdom Hearts was like that on the camera. You press in left for the camera to swing right, and I'm like, no, I want it to swing left.
And you're sort of staggering about like a drunk, trying to hit
Yeah.
fucking camera. Like, you're wrestling with something that you shouldn't have to wrestle with. Right, next up. This is one for people that have got kids or people that are uneasy with gore and profanity. Gore and profanity filters where applicable. I think most of us want to play. We'll play any option, that any like time slot that we can get. And that includes having people in the room that don't like it. They don't like swearing or don't like gore, or they might be not mature enough to accept those levels of gore and profanity. And you still want to play. And just being able to switch them off. Do you know, a quick switch, gore off, profanity off. So you're not jibbing people, Joe. They're dying and stuff, and there's no swearing or, you know, lungs and shit flying all over people's eyeballs. Yeah. Like, Gears of War did it.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, Gears of War 2 onwards or Gears of War 3 onwards. Yeah, they just made it so that although a lot of the violence was still there, they changed it to sparks, I believe it was.
Okay.
And took all the, like, the gore out. And the swearing as well, there were a fuckload of swearing in the Gears games. You could turn it off completely.
Would it just bleep it out?
No, what it'd do is it'd just prevent those lines from being said. So instead of going like, fuck yeah, like it'd go like, oh yeah, like when he did his reload or whatever.
Okay.
It just cleaned it up a little bit. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't think that should be an option for, you know, because you're playing it in front of your kids. Because if it's an 18, like, you wouldn't sit down and watch The Exorcist with your kid or whatever. And, like, personally, I think that's just, like, playing a game that isn't suitable for kids around kids is irresponsible. But as an option for adults, because I know a lot of adults who don't like gore, who don't like swearing, but do like video games. And they are put off from a lot of sort of like 18s and just like the hard action games because it's content that they don't enjoy. Even though the core of the game they'd enjoy, there's the swearing and the gore and stuff. So that's a really good idea because that'd definitely bring more people in.
Yeah, I think, like I say, some people just are acclimatised to it. They just don't want to see or hear that stuff, and being accepting of, you know, their wishes is, even if it's just bleeping out, you know, just bleeping the words out, that's still better than, you know, like saying, hey, well, you either deal with it or you don't play.
Oh yeah, definitely. Moving on then, and next on your list is Quicksaves, which is an interesting one. They don't belong in every game, but there aren't many games that would be worse off with them. Like, they could be quite helpful in a lot of games, especially RPGs and things like that.
Yeah, like, especially ones where you sort of, like, have your save points, as there were. Yeah. Like, sometimes you just want to turn off. Like, you've got to, I don't know, baby's crying, or you've got to get up and go to work, or some people just cannot dedicate time to gaming. And giving them the tools to, you know, play games as and when they choose and save the progression without having to, you know, dedicate like an hour and a half or whatever between, you know, spaces they are in, especially long RPGs, you know, where there's tough parts, is just, come on, like, be reasonable.
And that's the thing, like, going back to Final Fantasy 12, there was times where I'd be playing it and I work shifts. You know, my paid job is shift work, and sometimes I'll get up a little bit earlier and I'll stick a game on, and then if I'm playing something like that and it's time to go for work, I could have lost an hour's progress.
Yeah. I had an instance in Destiny 2. The last mission that you do is like, when you're playing it through the first time, it's pretty long, you know? And it's one of those missions that could have been broken up into like 2 or 3 smaller missions, you know, like more bite-sized down. But it's, for some reason, they've decided to go with this fucking like 45-minute epic, you know, where it's just all running into, scene is seeging into another scene, and it's just like, now would be an ideal time to break off. Like, this feels like a culmination. Do you know, like when we were talking about crescendos and stuff? There feels like there's natural crescendos in there where missions start and missions finish. But it's all one mission, so you've got like 3 or 4 crescendos in where there should just be one, and then you go get kicked back, and, you know, it's silly. Like, don't fucking do that shit. And if you're going to do it, put quick saves in so we don't have to start from the very top the next time we go in.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. This is a contentious one. In games with co-op, difficulty settings for each player.
Right, how the fuck does that work? Because I don't believe that's possible.
So, in Gears of War, you have, say like, I'm playing on insane mode, you're playing on casual mode.
Right.
So, there's an enemy, and when he shoots at me, he's doing amplified damage at me, but I'm doing less damage to him. My gun does less damage, but your gun does more damage to him, but it does less damage to you, even though he's firing the same bullet.
But that's like having someone play on like one difficulty or someone playing on the other one, and then just having the difference being that, you know, one takes less damage than, you know, dies quicker. That makes sense. But like, how do you have one enemy that is a bullet sponge for one player and not for the other? Because if you're both shooting the same thing, how the fuck is that going to work?
You're thinking from a person that's got skill to shoot that player. If you don't have skill to shoot that player, say like I'm shooting at an enemy and it takes me 5 seconds from it coming up and me shooting it to it dying. The person of lesser skill is still going to take 5 seconds to get their reticule over that enemy, look down sights and, you know, shoot. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So from me, my actions per minute are much higher than a person that might not be, do you know, more capable.
But you're not answering the question of how it will work if you're both shooting the same target.
It goes down quicker. Yeah, it goes down quicker. So essentially, someone could carry me through a hard difficulty if they wanted to.
Right. That's very strange.
Yeah.
Like having someone die quicker, like. So instead of, just say you're on insane difficulty or something, you get shot 3 times, you're down.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 bullets hit you, you're dead. But your mate's playing it on normal and he's taking a kick in. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But having like a sliding bullet sponge meter on enemies, that doesn't. Anyway, move on.
In practice, it works. All
right, because it's blowing my melon.
In co-op games that have a second player as an option, have an option for people with no skills to mess about in the game so they can participate, but there's no danger to them whatsoever. Do you know, they can't die, they can't lose. Think of Tails in Sonic.
Right.
Do you know, they can play, and they're not doing a lot in the game, but they are doing something. So, do you know, like Little Brother mode?
Yeah.
That's a good way to explain it. Like Little Brother mode. Instead of giving him a controller that's doing nothing, do you know, it's not even fucking plugged in or turned on, he's doing something and partaking, but the effect that he has on the game isn't grand.
Say his character, I mean, you wouldn't have a Little Brother mode on Gears of War, but we'll use Gears of War as an example.
No.
So you're Dom and your mate's Marcus, but like the Little Brother mode player, so their character could be like invincible.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, invincible.
That'd be a really good sort of training mode as well for people who have never, because it took me a long time to get into first-person shooters. I tried to play the original Halo around my friend's house, and I'd never done a twin-stick shooter before.
Right.
And I was looking at the floor, looking at the fucking ceiling, getting shot from everywhere, and it wasn't fun. Like, I didn't enjoy it. For the first couple of years, if you asked me about Halo, I'd go, Halo's a bag of shit. Because I couldn't play it. I didn't understand it. It wasn't until later, when I got used to the whole controlling with 2 analog sticks, that I was like, oh my god, this game's amazing. So that'd be a really good, you know, way, like your friend doesn't play games.
Yeah.
Training wheels mode.
Yeah. Apparently in NAC, I don't know about NAC 2, but NAC 1 has a mode where you have another, do you like the thing that I've mentioned here?
Yeah.
And it's just indestructible. And they can run about and, you know, do puzzles and stuff and just generally be like a training wheels mode. Obviously they don't have the input that the main character has, but they can run about and do effects and jump about and tank damage and stuff, and there's no danger to them. They can't die. And
that'd be great as well if you activate training wheels mode. Achievements and trophies are turned off.
Yeah. So you can't choose anything.
Basically. That's a really good idea. I like that one. Because the thing is as well, though, and this is what really annoys me about hardcore gamers, you know, whenever you get an easy mode in something, like Star Fox. Even Bayonetta has like a one-button mode or like a one-handed mode, which is a really fucking weird thing to have for Bayonetta. But yeah, everything's kind of automated a little bit, so people who have never played it can get used to it.
I think as well, it's an accessibility thing.
Yeah.
If you're unable to, if you like, I mean, we're laughing at the one-handed mode, but there's going to be people that
only got
are
one
missing
hand.
fucking fingers. Or
Yeah.
So having a one-handed mode is going to open the game up for them.
I think that's a great idea, but there's so many people who are going to be like, oh, you're de-skilling it. If you can't play it, you don't deserve to play it. It's like, fuck you. You were a kid at one point. You didn't know how to play Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, it's like the Mario Kart has got a thing that'll just basically drive fire. If you accelerate, it drives fire. You're not going to win any races.
Yeah, there was a Jimquisition about it,
Uh-huh.
wasn't there? And then he tried it, and he just left it, and he just came last massively. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't win for you. It keeps you on the track a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's training wheels. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Right. Okay, next up. Interesting AI fit into the game.
Right, explain this one to me.
Right. I've played fucking God knows how many games, and I can count on one hand the amount of times the enemies in the game are actually interesting to fight.
Right.
They behave in like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Like interesting and unpredictable ways.
Yeah, they act like humans would, but it's sort of like more robotic. Like, you can see them like following like a protocol. Say like using Halo as a example. If you throw a grenade and it lands near one of them, they'll dive out of the way at the last minute.
Yeah.
Right? But there's some games like you'll fucking throw a grenade and it's just like they'll just stand there and you'll be blown up.
Yeah.
And it's not interesting to play. It's boring. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Like, sometimes dumb AI that runs in a straight line to you, perfectly fine. If it's suiting to the game, tops, But in instances where the game has to be more engaging, you need to have some sort of AI there that is going to react to you and sometimes surprise you,
Have you got any examples?
Yeah, I think the most surprised I've ever been is when I was playing Halo Reach. I was doing it solo on Legendary mode, and near the end of the game there's like I think it's like a rocket yard or something, where there's like loads of fuselage and shit all over. And there was this one mob, it was an elite mob, and I could not get past it. I could not beat him in a firefight, he was just too good. So I decided to use my invisibility and hit him in the back of the head. Assassinate him, essentially. But I got up to him, and he figured out where I was, so I was running around this fuselage, right? And my invisibility had worn off, so I was like, oh, fuck. So I'm trying to hide around this, what little cover there was. And eventually, the invisibility come back on. I managed to stealth myself out, and I walked away from where he was, when we were encircling round. And this elite were running round and round and round the fucking fuselage, and then he lost his temper, and I'm like, oh wow. Joe started fucking growling, and he just started like shooting randomly, like just spraying bullets, like spraying and praying. Yeah, and I was like,
because he couldn't
wow,
find
that's really fucking amazing. Like, I've never seen that before in a game, and I don't think I've seen it since. Although I've played quite a few Bungie games and other games that have, like AI that the companies brag about, I have never seen anything like that. That is like what someone would actually do. If you were on an online game and you did that and watched them run fucking Ring Around the Roses round something, where there was no one there to catch, and then lose a temper, it's just, it blew me away, And I think that is something that a lot of games could benefit from. Like my most recent games are like Destiny, Wolfenstein, I played Shadow of Mordor, and to be honest, none of them really have. Other than diving out of the way of grenades and running to cover when they're under pressure, they don't have anything interesting like that story with the Halo Elite. That like totally fucking blew me away when I saw it. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And even though that's like, how old is Halo Reach now? 5-year-old? 6-year-old?
No, it's more than that. It's got to be.
But yeah, it's an old game, and like I don't think anyone has really latched on to that whole like AI that's like emergent. I think that's the best way to explain it. Like emergent AI, like it blew me away. Like even though it did something really, really stupid in its smartness. But yeah, that's one thing. Like I'm not saying all games have to have the like mad fucking talented AI. Stuff like Serious Sam would work. Like for certain games and the AI in Geometry Wars, where it does the if player is doing A, do B. If player is doing B, do C, sort of things. Like the green shapes that sort of like chase you around, and if you shoot them, they try and dodge you, so you have to like sandwich them against the wall. Just mix it up a little bit. Like it's not fun to shoot the same things over and over again because it gets stale, and that's why shooter games are £10 a penny and they could be more interesting. Right, okay, enough of the AI. Right, trophies and achievements. For the love of God, just make them trackable in the game. I'm not a big trophy or achievement person. If I like a game, I will go for them. If I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But if your game has stuff in where it's like, kill fucking like 1,000 of these, please fucking track it. Just track it. Because you'd be fucking saving so much frustration.
You'd probably bring more people in to collect stuff as well, because like the big ones like that I don't bother with, because I'm like, oh fuck it, I can't be bothered to do that many things. But if I had something that showed me how close to getting it I was, then I'd be more inclined to go, oh well, hang on, mate. Well, if I'm that close, I might as well.
See, Xbox One already does this for, I don't know if it does it for all games or only certain games. I know Forza did it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Halo games did it as well, but I don't know if it's like forced upon a catalogue wide. But yeah, for the love of fucking God, just save us the sanity, saying if we're close to like particular trophies and achievements, and just fucking put the numbers in there, please. And while we're talking about collecting shit, collectibles, what do you think about collectibles?
I don't really go for them, to be honest. I start off going for them when I can see them, and then I'll get like halfway through it and then become a bit more scarce, and I'm like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, see, I think that collectibles are okay, but if you're going to put them in there, they can't be just there to be collected. There's got to be a reason for them. Like Grand Theft Auto, the older games used to put like weapons outside, your safe house,
right?
So you didn't have to go looking for them. Or like BioShock were really, really good for collectibles. It'd play like a little bit of story for you.
The Marvel Ultimate Alliance games were good for certain collectibles, because when you collect like 6 of one thing or something, that's how you'd unlock certain characters.
Right.
So
yeah, there were a reason for them being there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't make them mandatory though. Like, if you want to unlock those characters, that's fine. But to make them so, for instance, I just played Shadow of Mordor.
Right.
And the collectibles were on the map, which is fucking brilliant, fantastic. Just put them on the map, great. But when you picked them up, you got a currency, and the currency was used to level up your character.
Right.
So if you wanted more health, you've got to go find collectibles. And although they're on the map, and although you have like a little bit of a, like lore and story reason for picking them up, having to force the player into going and, scouting for these items, I think it's unacceptable.
Is that the only way to do it, to go off and find them? Because to sort of counter your argument, that's how you get health in Zelda. And that works really well. Going out and...
But those are side quests, aren't they?
Yeah, but you still got to go off and find the fucking things. But you do get like hot containers at the end of the temples. So
yeah.
Even if you don't go off and try and find the extras, you are still getting a little bit of extra health. Does Shadow of Mordor do that, or is it literally, if you want your health up, go and find shit?
You have two options. When you beat one of the warlords or the chiefs, they drop an item which can be sold for like 25. But just for like reference, for the last health upgrade, it cost 10,000.
Right.
Over at 10,000 or 1,000. It's somewhat ridiculous. And there's no way that you could play that game long enough and have enough content there for the last... I got all the collectibles. I played for like 30 hours or something like that. And I only unlocked maybe 3/4 of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So the rest of it had to be unlocked by killing the chiefs and then selling the loot, that they got at 25, like Miriam, I think it was called, the currency a shot, which is just, it's unacceptable. Like, you can't do it. You'd be fucking hours and hours. Like, you're looking at hundreds of hours, well, maybe 100 hours to top, max everything out, which is just bullshit.
So for this one, I'm on the fence, because for stuff like that, it is rubbish. But then, using Zelda as the example of collectibles being almost mandatory, or definitely a big part of, you do need to go and collect your hearts to be able to do certain things. I think mandatory collectibles done correctly can enhance a game's experience, but done badly can definitely hinder it.
Saying that, the Zelda collectibles, you talk about the hearts, you don't need every heart container in that game to finish it.
No, but like for the new one, spoilers for Breath of the Wild, it's not really spoilers, but just people get touchy. In order to get the Master Sword, you need to have at least 13 hearts to pull it out of its thing, or you die, basically, because when you're pulling it out, your hearts are reducing.
Okay.
Now, having the Master Sword isn't mandatory. You do not need the Master Sword to finish the game. But that's the kind of thing where, if you want it, you do need to have this. And in order to get that many hearts, you do need to find however many shrines 13 hearts takes. But again, that for me enhanced the experience, because it felt like a little reward. I was getting something back for all my hard work.
I think it's probably a horses for courses thing.
Yeah.
There's a middle ground. Like, the payoff for you investing has to be within the realms of reward that you're going to receive for going out and digging that shit out. But just going, you need to go fucking kill this many orcs before you can get 2 more arrows.
Yeah.
To collect. Like, it's just, no, fuck that. It's fucking stupid.
I think we found a happy middle ground with this one. What's next?
Trackers for collectibles. Don't expect us to find that shit. Just fucking put it in. If it's maps that you buy in game, or like towers that you climb, or just fucking don't make us find shit, completely blind. Because all that's going to do is it's going to have us sat, for those that care, it's going to have someone sat with a web browser or the phone on the knee, fucking find it.
Or
and that's
like,
not fun.
like what we were doing with Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, with the shards.
Finding the sky shards. Yeah, I was sat there with my laptop open.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb, and everyone hates that shit.
But
please don't do that.
But to add to that, make it optional, so the people who do want the challenge of finding it themselves can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
those sadists. Next one's very, very short. Chapter select or mission select. This is a good one for like Metal Gears and stuff, Joe, letting you go back and play sections that you enjoyed without having to sit through like 40 hours at Epic or whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree. That'd be great for a lot of games.
I don't think there's any more to add to that. Just a chapter select, please. Okay, this is one that's we could have probably covered earlier, but it's a bit further down the list because I thought about it later. Difficulty. Right, we talked about those guys, that fucking go on about difficulty and what have you.
Yeah.
Right. I think difficulty is a weird thing in games. Like, when you say difficulty, you often think, oh, well, instead of shooting this guy 5 times, I have to shoot him 10 times.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Whereas, that's just inflating the numbers. Instead of actually making the guy more difficult to kill, like, I don't know, making him use cover more, or just be more aggressive. Do you know, like, he's still...
Change his weak point.
Yeah. Well, not changing his weak point. He's still got to have the same weak point, but that weak point has to be harder to exploit.
Yeah, okay.
A Killing Floor 2 is a really, really good example of this. Even on the easy setting, to the hardest setting, the most like, you know, like base level of enemy, right up to the boss, only takes the same amount of bullets to kill across the top. You know, from the bottom to the top, they all take the same damage.
Right.
There's no inflation out like that. But the way they behave is where the difficulty comes from.
So the difficulty changes the AI, basically.
Yeah. So
Okay.
instead of them like on the normal setting, you can just shoot them in the head once.
Right.
They don't try and protect themselves. They just walk towards you. You go up a difficulty and they start jogging a little bit, and they might cross their hands over the face.
Yeah.
So do you know, like, you're adding, like, I think strands to their AI difficulty. Do you know, like behaviours as you go up the difficulties, instead of just going, oh well, okay, this guy fucking takes, instead of taking one headshot, he takes like fucking 5 headshots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Killing Floor 2 way of doing things, and I think a lot of games could learn from that particular game as far as your like game difficulty design goes. Like, hitting something more times isn't difficulty,
Yeah.
but hitting something that's harder to hit is difficulty.
When you put it like that, it's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, next up. In games with leveling up, give the user a choice to go right to the end of the story and level cap. So, games like Borderlands, Diablo, Destiny, basically anything that's got classes in it that has an end game, do you know, where you're collecting stuff to power yourself up, just let us fucking skip the story. Just give us straight to level cap. Stuff like World of Warcraft lets you pay to do it. Do you know, like, gives you a fucking level 100 character or whatever it's up to now. We fucking see, we don't want to be doing that. We just want to do the bosses and power
I'm
up.
going to respectfully disagree.
Go on. What's the counter argument?
For me, going straight to the level cap, have you ever jumped back into an MMO or something that you haven't played for a long time and gone, what the fuck am I doing? I can't remember what half my spells do, I don't know this stuff. For me, the first journey to level cap is going through the story and finding everything, and you know, it's the adventure. But then taking your next character there is different, because you're learning how to use that character. Each skill you unlock, you learn what it does, and then you level up a bit more and you get more skills and you learn what they do. You learn which ones work well with other ones, and then you start customizing your skill loadout, so you know the rotation that you need. All this stuff learns and comes over time, for me anyway. And I think jumping straight into like a max level thing and then having everything there, it would just be like super confusing, and you could do it eventually and it wouldn't feel rewarding. Like,
when I say max level, I mean like going up to whatever the point is where you stop gaining XP and just giving you like all greens or whatever. So you don't go straight to like being in legendary gear or whatever. You are just cutting this, like, a good example is I played Borderlands. I played all the characters in that game, all 6 of them, to OP8, which is like the highest you can go. And by the time I started with my 5th or 6th character, I was like, I am fucking sick of these training missions. I'm sick of this area. I just want to get through it. I want to get to my max level so I can do, my farming, the bits that are actually interesting.
yeah.
I'm tired of going through the story that I've heard like 6, well, it's not even 6 or 7 times, because it's like you go through like your standard mode, your true Vault Hunter mode, and then like Ultimate Vault Hunter or whatever the fuck it is, you're like the 3rd difficulty. So you're going through 3 times.
But like, skipping training missions would be good, but that's just bad design on Gearbox's thing. A really good example of like a good way to do character leveling and class leveling is Final Fantasy XIV. They've fucking nailed it. Your character, you can make your character, and then you choose your class, and then you just level it up. You're doing your little quests, you're going through the story, and then you go, do you know what, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. All you need to do is go to another trainer, and then start training in that class, and you drop back down to level 0. You're already through the story,
Right.
You're already, so if you've got one character and you go through the story and you get to endgame, and then you want to try something else, you just go to a trainer, and then you drop back down to 0, but you don't have to go through your story missions again. And by that point, you know all the best ways to get your experience, and you can fucking fly up the levels. Plus, you've already got good gear and stuff, and it's a really good way of doing it.
I don't like the idea of the grinding XP. Like, this is the thing, like you said, that's Gearbox's issue. But I went through it with Diablo 3.
Yeah.
I got all the characters to, like, level 70, were it? I've done it on Destiny 1. I'm probably going to do it on Destiny 2. It's just a case of, I want to get to max level so I can get into doing the things that building a character essentially to go like looting with. I'm not interested in story. I just want to do the adventure modes, like sort of things. Like the free play, the bits where it's like, okay, I'm gonna decide to go do this tonight. Like, I don't want to be fucking subject to listening to people go on about fucking the Master of Lies or whatever the fuck he's called on Diablo 3.
Like, I think once you've done the story and then starting another player, I don't like the idea of starting a new character and then just starting at cap on a brand new character, because I'm fucking old school RPG fan. Like, I think if you want to cap your character, fucking earn it. And but I do agree that starting another character and having to go through the story that you've just done again, like, it would be nice if once you've done it, you start a new character and you can just go
straight to endgame.
Then you just get your fucking chapter select or your mission select or something, and you can just I'll go here, don't give a fuck about the story, I'm just going to do some pickup missions and go and shoot some shit. Like, that would be a better way to do that, I think.
Yeah Just the way it works now isn't great. Like, there should be other avenues. And hopefully, I hope to God that someone fucking explores them, because sometimes I think, I want to try another class, and it's like, well, I have to fucking play it story through. I've just done it with Destiny 2 at the minute, and it's just, I won't pay any attention. I'm just fucking running through. It'd be much easier for me just to go in at like strength, go straight to level 20 and have like white gear, so I don't have everything completed, because I'm just not interested in doing it all again.
Yeah, that's why Final Fantasy 14 so good. I love that game. I can't wait to get back on it. But
man, we've mentioned Final Fantasy a lot in this podcast.
Because they're the fucking standard of how it should be done, my friend. They've had like 30 years to get it right.
Well, can you explain 13?
I like 13. This is a conversation for another podcast, but I can defend the shit out of 13. I really enjoyed that game.
I have no idea what 13's like. I don't play Final Fantasy. What's the next one?
Okay, this was my one that I added. We've been talking a lot about RPGs, and I'm going to talk about Final Fantasy 12 again.
Fucking Final Fantasy again.
But again, because it's the standard, it's how it should be done. It's the best example. For me, I play a lot of RPGs. I would love a more in-depth AI customization as far as your party go. Now, a lot of games, you can customize the AI slightly. So, you go into your options and it's like party AI. You can have aggressive, passive, you can have them defensive, you can have them, what kind of spells do you want them to use? Oh, well, I want this one to be more of a healer, so they can heal me, and then I want this one to use aggressive magic, and it's fine, it works, but sometimes it fucks up and you'll be running along minding your own business, and then one of your party members will run off and go and attack something that's far too fucking hard for you, and then you've got to run off, backtrack, or die, and it's just really annoying. And Final Fantasy 12 have fucking nailed it with the Gambit system, which is the most in-depth but simple to use AI customization I've ever fucking seen. So you got these things called Gambits, and you can buy them in shops, basically.
Right.
And you basically just set parameters. So you got your two sections. You've got your target, and then you've got your action. So, for example, you could have someone and go, right, I want you to be the healer. You just select the gambit for ally, hit point below 50%, but then put it as cure, and then move that to the top. So that takes the ones that are at the top are the priority, and they lose priority as they go down the list.
Mm-hmm.
So that character will just be attacking, and then as soon as one of your characters drops to below 50% health, the gambit will kick in and they'll fucking heal it. If you set up your gambits correctly in that game, you can have the most unreal shit going on with your team. And there are pages and pages and pages of these gambits that you can set up. And pretty much anything you can think of. And you just look through your pages and you're like, oh, I can. Cool. You can set gambits so you can have a character just looking after specific characters. It's absolutely unreal, but it works for every single character, including the main character. You can just turn gambits on.
Right.
And
so it's sort of like an auto-playing thing.
Yeah. And it's so good. And I'm not saying that every game should have like a gambit system, because that would be really complicated for a lot of games. But just a little bit more customization would be nice.
For what you're explaining, I think that's a little bit too much for most games. But just having like setting parameters like use this ammo first, use like you don't use fucking first aid. Like I remember playing Resident Evil 5, and like you get hit once, and your co-op partner that were AI controlled would run up and use a first aid spray, and it's like fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like what do you do that for? Like be using like bazookas on like normal fucking mobs and stuff. It's just totally like going crazy. Like it can't compute what it should be doing.
Yeah, and Resident Evil 5 is a great example of shit partner AI, because doing the last boss on your own is a fucking nightmare, because you've got to have someone in front of him and someone behind him.
Yeah. So
there's always someone on his weak spots. You do it with two people, it is well easy. Doing it with one, she just keeps fucking following you around.
Try a fucking first aid spray.
Yeah, and you're like, will you just fuck off, you ditzy robot?
Yeah, it's terrible. I think like bad AI like that, bad friendly AI. This links back to the AI in general, like friendly and enemy. Like they just need to be smarter. Like I think moving them up another notch into being like comparable to like a human player, even if they do make mistakes, because people do make mistakes. They're gonna heal, they're gonna fucking miss the shots, they're gonna use weapons that they shouldn't be using. But I think there should be more hit than they are miss.
Yeah.
And the Resident Evil one, well, like you say, she was shocking, or he was shocking, depending on which one you decided to play as.
It was shocking. Fucking dumb robot.
Oh, so that's it for Strange Play.
Yeah. That is our list of gaming design standards. So, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there anything you want to add? Do you want to start a discussion? If you do, just head on over to facebook.com/strangeplay, where you can talk to us there. Or if you're a Twitter user, you can follow us on Twitter @StrangePlayUK.
Right, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.